So this video will be a little bit different. I'm actually out on a walk here. I'm actually in Killings Pond, one of our state parks. And I just was thinking, I've been having a lot of clients reaching out to me that are thinking about potentially buying, and some people even selling their home here in Delaware, but they're just a little bit worried about the current economic situation and everything going on, with, tariffs, price of goods, interest rates, everything. So while I was out here on my walk, kind of talk about it a little bit. It's actually got a couple numbers here, what I'm currently seeing in the market with helping, different people buying and selling their homes. And just kind of give some perspective and, what I would recommend. Again, I'm not, any type of financial advisor or anything like that. But as far as when it comes to real estate, my whole outlook and everything on it. So again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Windom. I help people buy and sell homes here in Delaware. I've lived here my entire life, and on this channel, I'll talk about everything Delaware real estate related, anything you need. And if you're thinking about buying or selling here, I'd love to have a conversation. And I'll put my info on screen in the description down below. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation and just talk about how I can potentially help. So with that being said, let's head right into it. I remember to write these down. So just for, just Delaware in general, the latest market stats that we have so far, even with all this turmoil and tariffs and everything else going on, the units sold here in Delaware, and this is for the entire Delaware, keep in mind, everywhere is a little bit different. Everywhere's a little bit different. It's very hyper local here because we are smaller. So, the difference between Wilmington and, somewhere like Dover or Seaford, it's going to, kind of differ a lot, and it kind of throws those numbers a bit. But just in general, so the amount of units sold here in Delaware in 2024 and 2024 March, it was 993, and that went up to 1,008. So that was a 2% increase. So all that means is that more things were getting sold, compared to last year. The listed median home price went from $431,000 to $389,000. So it was a 5% decrease. So all that's really telling me is that people are coming back down to earth. Some of these sellers, want what they want just to try to offset some of the costs they're going to have if they're buying, or maybe they're cashing out, but they're coming to earth. Everything's more expensive now. So people have to be flexible if they're really wanting to sell their property. And we're seeing those price cuts. But where we're not seeing a decrease is actually the sold median. So the sold median in 2024 was 369,000, and that went up to 380,000 in 2025. So we're seeing a 3% increase. So even though that the listed prices are actually dropping, we're still seeing that overall the prices are increasing. So even with everything going on, people carrying a bunch of debt, interest rates, highest they've been in the last couple of years. People are still buying and paying top dollar for these homes. As far as the amount of pending units, in 2024, it was 1,024, and 2025, 983, so a 4% decrease. Just meaning that not as many homes were sold or pending, because pending doesn't technically equal a sold. Because you can come out of contract for whatever reason. And we're actually, just me personally, I'm seeing that quite a bit with homes that they're coming on the market and coming off. And typically the most common reason you see is like maybe a bad inspection or something like that. But now I'm seeing, because these rates are fluctuating a lot, it's like, and people's ratios are so close that they're just getting bounced out at the last minute, or losing a job, or just too much debt, or the money and everything they got going on just doesn't equal out. But yeah, we are seeing things fall out of contract a little bit more so than we used to, at least me personally. And as far as active inventory, 2024 it was 3,066 units, and that went up to 3,794 units. So it's a 24% increase. So, if you are a buyer, you kind of want to see that, because that means there's more inventory on the market. So it means that you have more choices, and people have to just be a little bit more competitive, because of, supply and demand. If there is no supply, then, demand goes up and you can charge top tier prices. So that is a good thing. And again, this is really hyper local, because depending on where you're looking at, if you're somebody who's looking in like Middletown for a resale, it ain't that many there. It just depends on where exactly you're looking at in the state, because it's very, very hyper local. Because if you're looking down in, I don't know, maybe somewhere like Greenwood or something like that, that isn't as desirable, just because it's a little bit out in the boonies, then you see a lot more active inventory there, especially in Sussex County, just because they have a lot more land. So again, it just depends on where you're looking at. As far as the days on market, 2024, it was 41 days. 2024, it was 41 days, and now it's 49 days. So it's 11% increase. So again, another good thing if you're a buyer, is that, when those days on market increase, it makes these, a lot of times it makes these sellers come back down to earth and, actually be reasonable, and they're much more willing to negotiate. But again, this is hyper local, because I've helped quite a few people that were looking like in the Claymont area, or just in that northern Newcastle County area where most of our population is. And there's a lot of actually commuters and people with like money to spend up there, and it's a need for it. And everything up there is pretty much a resale, because there isn't a lot of land to do new construction up there. And stuff is still going really fast up there. Like I said, this is the whole state, so I didn't break it down county by county. If that's something that you do want, just let me know in the comments below. But yeah, like Newcastle County, I feel like is always quicker. Their days on market is always shorter than Kent and Sussex. But the next one, as far as new listings in 2024, we're talking about 1,561. In 2025, 1,842, so an 18% increase. So that's great. We're seeing more things come to the market. Probably majority of that is a lot in like Kent and Sussex County, because we're seeing a lot of new development down there, and there, those housing starts have happened. And you just got some people who are just deciding to maybe need to upgrade, or maybe they're retiring and they're moving somewhere else. We do have a big military population here, so you do see that, especially around this time of the year, is like, they call it PCS season. So, so you do tend to see a lot of that time of the year. So with those stats, you kind of see that it's becoming a little bit more balanced, but overall prices are still increasing, even with these high interest rates and everything else going on. Speaking of interest rates, the other thing is, I'm recording this in, I don't know, May. So there is the next Fed meeting is May 6th and 7th. So with that being said, the Fed is going to meet, and they're going to talk about interest rates. There is a little thing called like the CME Fed Watch tool, where it gives a probability of if the Fed is going to lower the interest rate or not. And obviously, just because they lower the interest rate doesn't mean interest rates go down, but it is a strong indicator. Typically, when you see that go down, the bond market gets better, and then the interest rates for everything to borrow the money comes lower. But as of right now, they're saying it's a 96% chance that the Fed will not lower interest rates. And I've been watching this thing, for quite some time, because interest rates everyone always asks us, I'm not a lender, but they always ask us like, like what are interest rates? And you just want to keep an eye on those type of things because I'm telling you right now, if that interest rate does get anywhere close to like pandemic, back when the pandemic was going on, like if we see those 5.5s and 4s again for the general public, it is going to be absolutely nuts. But as far as that tool, it's been pretty spot on. Because like I said, it's people running that watch the economy way closer than I do. But so it doesn't seem like there's going to be a big change in rates. So if you were looking for that, if you're waiting for these rates to change, I don't know, honestly. Like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. But I don't know. All I do know is when these rates do drop, there's a lot of hungry people on the sidelines waiting. So I could definitely see if these rates do get low again, that these prices are going to increase. And then if you're somebody who was waiting on the sideline, who had the ability to buy, and then these rates go down and you say, okay, well, now I can get a better deal. It may have been, kind of shooting yourself in the foot because, I do see those bidding wars coming back because I just sold a house that had a bidding war on it. Nothing too crazy, but four or five offers that, got us over asking. So it's still a thing when houses are priced correctly in this market. So as those interest rates drop, more buyers are going to enter, and there's still not enough inventory. So I just see that making a more prevalent reoccurrence. As far as the economic, it's a bit like with these tariffs and everything, I can tell you right now that these builders are definitely taking notice. I've talked to quite a few builders that have talked about, getting their wood from Canada, and them just telling them that they were no longer able to lock in prices. He said before they used to be able to lock their price for their wood for 3 months, 6 months, and now they're saying they're doing it per contract. So what that means for them is that, they might go to build a house, buy all the wood, and it costs them, I don't know, $300,000. And then the next week, depending on what's going on, that thing might cost them 10, 15% more. So you're seeing them I've seen a lot of builders get a little bit more skittish when it's talking about their overall purchase prices and things like that. I mean, I've seen builders who never really do price increases. As soon as all this stuff was announced, up their price by $10,000 or, give some sort of price increase. Now, typically, I don't see them go down. I know people say it all the time. It's just like, oh yeah, when things get better, prices are gonna go down. At least for housing, I mean, I never really see prices come down on new construction unless it was already overpriced from the get-go. And mostly where I see that is the bigger builders, these bigger, like production builders that have these huge corporate offices, and they can take, since they have their process so dialed in, there's already, a pretty steep markup on their prices already. So they're able to, take those, I'm not even going to call them losses, but take those decreases because they're just putting it into another project, or they've already made money on the other part of the development. So they're willing to do that because the only thing they're worried about with these bigger companies is their bottom lines. They have shareholders, they have people that, like stocks and everything else, that they want to see that those numbers be positive, at the end of that fiscal year. So they're just worried about getting the numbers on the spreadsheet. As far as I know, a lot of people have been, I've just seen a lot of people be wary about the economy and saying like, oh, is there a crash incoming? Again, I don't know. But the one thing I can tell you is I've been hearing a lot of people talking about, oh, I can't wait for the market to crash so I can buy a home at an affordable price. Or, I've heard it a lot, but I just don't think people understand what comes along with those crashes. Like, the crash doesn't benefit the regular 9 to 5 or the regular middle class American or citizen. It doesn't benefit them. just take for example, if we see this decrease in these prices and all these institutional investors, they're already buying homes at these higher prices. Do you really think you can compete with a place like BlackRock or something like that? They're going to buy these homes for pennies on the dollar. And I'm telling you right now, like if it's you who has to get a loan, or you have to sell a house or something like that to get this money against, an institutional investor, and they have straight cash, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. Like unless the seller has like a sentimental attachment or they know who they're selling to, because 9 times out of 10, we're just submitting these offers. I don't see the person on the other end. I'm talking directly with the realtor or their representation, and we just see names on a contract. I don't know who these people are, because some people buy in their LLCs just for anonymity purposes. So I don't know, typically who you're selling to, and we're not supposed to. So there is no, any type of discrimination going on or anything like that. But I'm telling you right now, if there's an offer on the table for, I don't know, a $300,000 house, and there's an institutional investor offering $300,000 cash against, your $300,000, even a conventional loan or something like that. And you're asking, you're saying, oh, obviously we're doing a home inspection because, like I preach, you should have one. You're going to have a home inspection and everything else. And this other person is like, hey, I got cash. I can close in 2 weeks. I don't really want an inspection. Like you're going to lose that 9 times out of 10. So when people talk about these crashes, I don't think they really understand what's going on. Like it's not going to benefit the regular working class American, or, like middle class American, or even, the poorest of the classes. I mean, I've already seen, I remember back during COVID times, I mean, people would ask, oh, hey, is this a state loan, and things like that. And they're not supposed to, kind of discriminate against that. But I'm sure that people, because of the type of loan it was, that they were getting, help from a homeowners, from Delaware State Housing Authority or something. I'm sure that influenced their decision. It's not supposed to, but I'm sure it did. So when these crashes happen, I mean, the people who have this money sitting to the sideline and have been, generational type wealth, like you're going to lose to them. So I don't think we really want to crash. We do want to see prices go down, but we don't want to see a crash, because I don't think it's going to help the general public. But yeah, I'm kind of getting off on a little tangent. But I mean, just what are my thoughts, and what do I think people should do when it comes to, if you're buying or selling a home? I'm gonna just be honest, guys. I'm a little bit biased. I wholeheartedly believe in real estate. I mean, I don't know what other way to put it. That's why I became a realtor. I believe that the way that the average person gets out of, the rat race is through real estate. It's such a powerful asset that it's such a powerful asset that you can live in and leverage, and then even when you outgrow your home or anything like that, you can then rent it to someone else and make money, and have someone else pay for an asset that's still gaining equity and still gaining value. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little bit biased, and I think one of the best things that you have with real estate is one of your best friends is going to be time. It's more so, they talk about it with stocks and everything. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. And I think real estate is the same. I've never really heard of anyone's grandma or someone who bought a house 30 years ago and currently has a home that it's worth less, or they owe more money on it, unless they've done something like, second loans or anything like that. But typically, if you buy a house, keep it for 30 years, pay off the mortgage, it's typically going to be worth more than what you paid for it. And I don't see too many times. Oh, snap, I'm going over this bridge here. This is a really beautiful pond here. I don't have a drone or anything, so I can't get you any like cool shots. But yeah, this is cool. This is actually in Felton. It's one of the state parks here. They even have a better part. They have like a nature area in here and all that other good stuff. But it's a good place to just walk, be in nature, everything else. But back to what I was saying, as far as what I think people should do, honestly, it's going to depend on, I mean, I don't really know. It's just going to depend on your, specific situation. If you're someone who's in a position to buy, whether if you're someone who's relocating here, looking to retire, I'm seeing a bunch of people from New York come here. I would think sooner would be better, sooner rather than later. And I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody or do anything like that. Even if prices were to substantially go down, I think the pain, like the joy you'll gain, because they talk about it, I think it's called like loss aversion theory or something like that. The joy that you'll get from knowing you have a good deal is going to be way less than the anger or the FOMO you'll feel if prices go up. And typically prices have been going up year after year after year. So I would hate for someone to stay on the sidelines and listen to other people when they have the ability to do so now. Because like I said, even when I bought my house, like my story, when I bought my first home, people were telling me all the time the market was going to crash, like the bottom's coming, all this other stuff. And if I would have listened to those people, like I would have shot myself in the foot. Because from then, when I bought till now, my house is almost doubled. Like even without the pandemic going on, I still think my house would have grown at least, anywhere from 30 to 50% in equity. It's just, like I said, time is your best friend when it comes to real estate. And then again, it just depends on what type of situation. Like if you're retiring and prices go down after you bought your house, who cares? You're retiring. You know what I mean? Like you paid for it. I mean, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. It's like, damn, it sucks. I just bought this house and, it went down 10% or something like that. But you don't care. You're retiring. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? You got what you wanted. You more than likely, you just wanted a simpler lifestyle. Maybe you were downsizing or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, that's cool. But on the opposite end, if you were to wait and it goes up 10%, you're like, damn, like, I wish I would have bought then because I had the ability to do so. And then we're talking about, I hate the thing like, marry the house, date the rate. I hate that saying. It just sounds kind of cheesy. But I mean, if rates do drop, that's a great chance for you to potentially refi and lower your monthly requirement. So, that's just icing on the cake. If you can already afford the house and then, prices go down and then all of a sudden, your mortgage payment is $200-300 cheaper, it's just better for you. If you're someone who's looking to, maybe you're not retiring or you're looking to relocate, or maybe you're just on your home buying journey, or maybe you have to sell your house. I mean, you're in the same kind of position. What happens if your house drops 10%? And, if your house drops 10% and then the other housing, the housing market itself drops 10%. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. If it goes up 10, it's kind of like an even keel for the most part. But I tell people all the time, it's not always the final price that matters. It's the terms when you're selling your house sometimes. So would you want a nice, clean, easy sale to the tune of like, oh, hey, we're a traditional buyer. We have, 10-20% down, and we're not asking for any seller's concessions or anything like that. We just, want the house. Or, as markets go down and things get a little bit more tight, it may be like, oh, hey, we need $5,000-10,000 back. Plus, we're gonna, beat you over the head for every single repair every single minor repair, and we need this and we need that. So it's kind of like pick your poison. So again, like I said, if you have the means to do so, I mean, I think the upside is a lot more than the downside. Same thing on the buyer or the sell side. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. People, you know, kind of see that things are changing a bit. Sellers are willing to compromise if you are a buyer, even new construction, different incentives and things like that. And as a seller, there's still a need for real estate, especially here in Delaware, because we have a lot of people relocating here because, you know, our surrounding states, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, are so much more expensive, and the money just goes longer here. So we're seeing a big influx of that. So we're not seeing those huge dips in our market. But again, if you guys let me know in the comments, like if you like these type of videos, or if you just want me to, you know, do you like these in the field type videos, or me just rambling, or do you want to see me, you know, show more new construction, or you want me to stay in my studio and just be in there, stay in that chair, and this is what we want. Let me know in the comments below, you know, what you guys want to see from me, because I definitely want to make it happen, and what's the most helpful for you guys as far as any topics that you want to see me cover if you're someone who's potentially thinking about buying or selling a home or relocating here to Delaware. If you do want to see some different videos, I have a ton on the channel, and I'll put them right here.